So now let's go 2000 years back with best selling author Roopa Pai as she interprets Maharishi Patanjali's work and the insights it holds for children to become calmer, clear-headed, and more confident versions of themselves. The author explores this more in her new book, The Yoga Sutras for Children. Roopa is one of India's best-known writers for children. She has written over 25 books on themes as varied as sci-fi fantasy, popular science, math, history, economics, Indian philosophy, life skills, medicine, and memoir. Many of her books, including the 8-part Taranauts, India's first fantasy adventure series for children in English, and the Gita for Children, listed by Amazon India as one of 100 books to read in a lifetime, are bestsellers enjoyed as much by adults as by children. Her latest book is The Yoga Sutras for Children. Roopa is a TEDx speaker. Her talk, Decoding the Gita, has received over 2 million views to date. When she isn't writing, she is leading children and adults on heritage walking tours around her beloved Bangalore. Give it up for Roopa.
So today I'm going to speak to you about my new book. It's called The Yoga Sutras for Children. Now, I just want to ask, does anyone, if maybe you have come across this book somewhere in a bookstore, or maybe you follow me on Instagram or something, so you might have seen this. But otherwise, before this, did you know there was a text called the Yoga Sutras? How many of you knew there was a text called the Yoga Sutras? Not bad, yeah? There's a little girl also, you knew. How? How did you, I mean, I didn't know actually, so. School yoga teacher, okay, that's good, that's good. So some of you knew about the Yoga Sutras. But did you know who composed them or who authored them? Me? No, I didn't. I'm just retelling it for children, that's all. I didn't compose the original. Yeah, no, Rohini, not you. Anybody else? Yeah, you. Very good. Patanjali, Maharishi Patanjali. Yes, and what else okay, that's fine. Good. Does anyone know what the Yoga Sutras are about? Now Rohini can answer. No, it's okay. Okay. No, na? So, yeah. Tell me. Yeah, sure. How to live the life of a yogi. Okay, that's one definition of it. Yes, that's right. So what is a yogi? What is a yogi? How to live the life of a yogi, you said. What is a yogi? Who is a yogi? What does yoga mean? One who stays calm. So that's a very good definition of a yogi because, yeah, master of meditation. Okay, what does meditation mean though? What does master of meditation mean? Yes, who said that? Yeah, okay. So it's all about controlling your mind. That's what the Yoga Sutras are about. Now, most of us have a notion that yoga means asana. Okay, because I'm sure many moms here, many women here go for yoga classes. It's a new thing. We all get into it for briefly, then fall out of it, then come back to it, then fall out of it. All of that keeps happening. And we sort of imagine that yoga is about twisting your body into various shapes, holding poses, breathing even. Okay, pranayama. But anything more than that? Maybe, but actually it's physical exercise. It's almost equated to physical exercise these days, right? You want a fit, toned body? Do yoga. Okay, but actually, yoga is about the mind. The body is a very small part of the Yoga Sutras. It's all about the mind. So where did this Yoga Sutras come from? Now, in the ancient Indian way, the way you do it, how do you tell people about something they're unfamiliar with? Clearly, this audience, and so was I until I started researching this, is completely unfamiliar with the Yoga Sutras. So how do you introduce the Yoga Sutras? You don't start talking about the Yoga Sutras. You take them from something they are familiar with to something that they are unfamiliar with. It is a path. So for instance, if you wanted to show a friend, suppose you were in a place where there was no light pollution, you were sitting on top of a hill, you could see the Milky Way clearly, and you wanted to point out one of the stars, maybe Orion's belt or something. Okay? So if you just point like that in that direction, nobody's going to know which, where, or when you're in a jungle and you're looking out for wildlife. There, the bird, can you not see it? And such irritation, but it's right there, but I don't see it, but it's there on that branch, I don't see it. So how do you say it if you want to show a big star? Do you see this mango tree right here? Yes. Look between the crook of those two branches at the sky. Do you see that cluster of stars there? Then within that cluster of stars, look left. Do you see that bright red? It's not really a star, it's a planet because it's not twinkling. Do you see that? Now, to the right of it, count 2. That's the star I want you to look at. Okay, that's usually how things are taught in the old Indian way. So going by that, let's go from something familiar to the Yoga Sutras. What is the most familiar ancient Indian text to all of us? The Vedas, okay, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let's start. Bhagavad Gita everybody knows about, sort of. You may not know what it says, but you have heard of it. Yes, and you know when that conversation, it's actually a conversation, that's all. For those who don't know, it's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Where does it happen? In the Mahabharata. But actually, physically, where does it happen? In the battlefield. What's the battlefield called? Kurukshetra. Okay. And what is this conversation? Some 700 shloka lecture that Krishna gives to Arjuna when the war is about to be, the sun is already in the sky, the conches have been blown. And then Krishna suffers a crisis of courage. You know, he has a nervous breakdown right in the middle of the battlefield. And then Krishna is supposed to tries to bring him out of it by lecturing him 700 shlokas. Now, in the Vedic times, when was war supposed to begin? At what time? Morning, but exactly at sunrise. Now the sun, it was 1 minute away from rising when this conversation started. So how did Krishna manage to get in 700 shlokas without the sun rising? That's an eternal question. How? What happened to the sun? He stopped. So Krishna stopped time. Okay, perhaps there are so many theories as to how this happened. So one is Krishna stopped time. Another one is it would look to the others that the sun had not risen, even though it was halfway along the sky. The sun. Okay, that's one theory. But they would have realized as soon as he stopped talking. But they didn't. So that may not hold much water. Then what the other theory is that the sun was so riveted by the wisdom that Krishna was giving Arjuna that it stopped in its tracks. He stopped in his tracks to listen. Okay, whatever happened, that 700 shloka conversation happened. Now, where do you think, who wrote the Mahabharata and therefore the Bhagavad Gita? Vyasa. Where did Vyasa get all this knowledge from, and why did he put it in the Gita? Where did the Gita's wisdoms come from originally? Did he read some other text and bring it there, or what? Ganesha wrote the Mahabharata. He only was the scribe. Vedavyasa was dictating. Where did he get it from, all this wisdom? His father? Such respect for parents, yeah. Yeah, from his father. He got all the wisdom from his father, and it's quite possible. It's quite possible. From anywhere, who said? His teacher, perhaps somebody else. The Vedas, yeah. So he actually got it from much older texts called the Vedas, of which the last final part of the Vedas, which is called Vedanta, the end of the Vedas, or you could also interpret it as Veda Siddhanta, the highest wisdom of the Vedas is contained in the last, most recent layer of the Vedas. So this timing of ancient Indian manuscripts is very, very thorny. Okay, let's not even go there. But at least 3,500 years ago, the Vedas were composed. And maybe about 2,500 years ago or so, the last layers was composed. And that last layer, which is called the Vedanta, is also goes by another name called Upanishad. That is the Upanishads. Now, there are supposed to be 108 Upanishads. Some people say 200, etc. There are some gigantic ones like the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and the Chandogya Upanishad. But there are also many kuti ones. Like there is one Ishavasya Upanishad, there is a Mandukya Upanishad, very small. Now, even though they were so small, but they're quite abstract. So Vedavyasa, he's called Vedavyasa, right? Why is he called Vedavyasa? What does Vyasa mean? Vyasa is not his name. What was Vedavyasa's actual name? Who knows? No, what was his actual name? Vedavyasa. Yes, his name was Krishna. He was the second Krishna in the Mahabharata. And there was a third. Who was the third Krishna in the Mahabharata? Draupadi, whose name was Krishna. In Sanskrit, if you have a dirgha in the last, it's a woman's name. If it's a short, if it doesn't have a dirgha, it is a man's name. So Krishna and Krishna. Now that we're speaking Krishna, what does Krishna mean? Black. It just means black. That's why in the lunar calendar, when you see, there is a Krishna Paksha in which the moon wanes into new moon's night, and then there is a phase of Shukla Paksha when it becomes bigger and bigger, okay? So Krishna just means dark. So in our color-obsessed country, one of the most beloved gods was as dark as the moonless monsoon night on which he was born. Okay, that was Krishna. He was named Krishna because he was so dark-skinned. And yet we have such biases against dark skin colors. Anyway, that's a different story. But, so Krishna's name was Krishna, Vedavyasa's name was Krishna Dvaipayana. Dvaipayana because he came from a Dvipa, which is an island. He was born on an island, so Krishna of the island. Why was he called Vedavyasa then? Somebody, where's that girl go? She went off. Who said, I know what it means. Compiler. Compiler. Vyasa means compiler. Veda just means the knowledge. Vidya, same root. Vidya. So the compiler of the knowledge was Vedavyasa. So he took the Vedas, he divided them into, okay, I think this can all go into one Veda called the Rig, this can go into Samaveda, this can go into Yajur. Also, no, compiler, the one who puts together. Perhaps also explainer. Sanskrit, the problem is every word has many, many meanings depending on what root. Anyway, so he put, could be multiple people. Could be multiple people. We don't know because it's a title. It's an honorific. It's not a name of a person. So Vyasa could be, they say even Sushruta, even Charaka, they were titles that were given to doctors. Charaka to physicians, Sushruta to surgeons, things like that. So it may not have been one person. Anyway, so Mr. Vyasa, he took all of it, put it together, put the Upanishads together and said, my God, who is going to sit and read all these Upanishads? And also, who is going to understand them? They're quite abstract. They are fantastic. But he was a rishi. He was a great scholar. So he could understand. But he said, how do I make it interesting for young people? Not young people, for people. How do I make sure this knowledge doesn't get forgotten or lost? Remember, all of it was transmitted orally. It was never written down. So he said, how do I make sure? And then he hit upon this idea. He said, aha. I'll just take the essence of all the Upanishads and I'm going to pack it into just 700 verses. And I'm going to call it the Bhagavad Gita. That you can all do. Please read. It's only 700 verses. All of you can read. And still there was resistance. And he's like, no, even this is not working. Even 700 verses people are not going to read. What to do? And then he came to the answer that all of us storytellers come to. Put it in the middle of a story. You know, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. He said, let's put a sack of sugar. Let's make the greatest epic ever written, the longest, 100,000 shlokas. Less than 1%, 0.7% of it is the Gita. Let's stick it in there somewhere. Okay? Then, where to stick it in? That's also a very, very considered strategic decision. If I put it at the end, people are like, oh, no, fine. I got the story by. No, let's bring it to a cliffhanger. The war is about to start. Everyone is so invested. My hero is Arjuna. I want the Kauravas to win. I love Karna. He deserves better. Pick your champions, pick your sides. And just before the war is about to start, bam, commercial break. This is old time TV where we couldn't fast forward. You had to see all the ads. Or it's not even a book, right? You can't say, flip these pages. Not interesting. I just want to know, because I'm telling you, you want to know what happened in the war, you sit tight and listen to the whole story, whole Bhagavad Gita thing. Okay, so he put it there. And then the same thing happened with the Puranas. Same wisdom was taken over and over again. Now this is all very well. Okay, put it in a story, etc. Gita, wonderful, beautiful. I love the Gita. I'm sure many people here do. Wonderful. Then this Patanjali came along a little later. He said, okay, boss, all of you saying, be detached, do nishkama karma, do like this, do like that. You're just giving theory. Where is the practical? How are we supposed to do this? How? How is Krishna supposed to... Arjuna had Krishna, he was telling him this full Upadesha there. What about others? And by the way, why did they put it in the middle of a battlefield and not in some beautiful forest glade with the river flowing by? Then it's very easy to practice all this. But put them in a battlefield. Say, no, sorry, for your dharma, you've got to stand up and kill your whole family. That's tough, right? That's tough to follow. So how did Arjuna calm his mind and was able to do this? Because he had his best friend, who also happened to be God, it seems. And he's telling you, then you listen quietly and you'll do. But what about the rest of us? So Patanjali said, okay, I'm going to write the workbook. I will say how exactly you should calm your mind. I will give you exercises. I'll give you worksheets. I'll give you things to do. Do it. And then you will achieve what the Gita is telling you to achieve. So that's how the evolution is, how we come to the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So if we think that sort of date the Rig Veda, the oldest Veda, about 3,500 years, and date the writing of the Upanishads 2,500 years, Mahabharata, Itihasa, Ramayana, all that about 2,500 years, then Patanjali comes in between 300 and 700 years later. I'm sorry, we can only give windows like this in ancient Indian texts, because nothing was written, there was no material evidence for anything, right? But by the time Patanjali started writing the Yoga Sutras, composing them, writing had started in India. Okay, first of all, we had writing, we think it is writing, during the Indus Valley civilization. We haven't deciphered it yet. Maybe pictogram kind of writing, may not be an alphabet, we don't know. After that, in the Vedic period, nothing was written down. We have found nothing. Seems like script disappeared off the face of the Indian earth. And then suddenly it came back around Buddha's time, around Jainism, and then it really came into its own, began to be used a lot when? What happened after Buddha? Who was the greatest king to rule India after Buddha? Ashoka. And where did he put all the writing? On rocks. All throughout his empire, he put the teachings of Buddhism on all these rocks and said, here, read it. So, by the time Patanjali came, definitely writing had begun. And while the Mahabharata is 100,000 shlokas, while the Rig Veda and all are sprawling texts, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad sprawling, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are only 195 or 196, depending on whom you ask, sutras. And what are sutras? They're not shlokas, not two-line verses, no. They're tiny, tiny aphorisms, like instructions, very small. Only 197 of them. So if you have small handwriting and you write close to each other, you can write the entire thing in Devanagari on one A4 sheet, back to back. That's crazy. Ancient texts, aren't they supposed to be gigantic? Tomes. What is this very pressy writing of only this much? And then you begin to wonder, why would this man, Patanjali, is giving us the most valuable thing, a workbook. Why would he put it in only 196 sutras and so tiny ones? And by the way, you know how Sanskrit is, whoever knows Sanskrit, you smoosh together some 25 words and make it one word. Okay, and nobody knows where to cut it. There'll be debates about where, what does it mean? If you cut it here, it means something, cut it there, it means something. So he put it all very, very difficult, very cryptic. Nobody can understand. He put it that way. And you have to wonder, Maharishi, what were you thinking? Why the deuce? Why are you being so abstruse? What's wrong with you? Don't you want people to know? And here's the answer. We think. The answer, because we think that's the answer because the Greeks were talking the same thing. The Romans were talking the same. Greeks were of the Western world, they were the most advanced civilization. What were they saying? So you would think, if I asked you, is writing an improvement on oral or something of a in whatever the opposite of improvement is, I can't get it right now. Reduction, okay. Yeah, what is writing on, if there was an evolutionary scale, at first you're only speaking and oral. Is writing a good thing or a bad thing? It's good. Most of us would say it's good. Oh, of course it's good. Why is it good? It's fun. Okay, fun. For posterity, it'll help you tell people. Why do you need to write to tell people? You can tell people, no? You may forget. Correct. That's why writing is important, we think. What were you saying? So you can't talk to so many people at the same time. You can only talk to a few, especially in times before electricity. What is that Harry Potter spell? Sonorous. There's no sonorous. You can't make your voice into a microphone. So how do you, then you only reach this many people at a time, right? So writing is very good. And then what's the next level, which happened in the 15th century? Printing. Because writing also, somebody has to sit and write the whole thing. If you want 2 copies, you have to make 2 people have to sit and write, or you have to do it twice. And so it doesn't reach many people at all. But printing, my God, it just goes everywhere in an instant. Fantastic. What is the next improvement? Online. Nothing. WhatsApp from here just has to enter your mind and it's already gone to some 25,000 people, especially if it's not the truth. Especially if it's a rumor. 1 second, it's everywhere. Improvement, development, progress. Computer technology. And what was Maharishi Patanjali thinking? And the Greeks, Plato and all. Oh God, why have people started writing? It's finished. Human civilization is finished. At every stage, people thought human civilization is finished. Now we're thinking human civilization is finished. Nothing. It's not finished. It'll go on. But, at that time, they said human civilization is finished. Why would they say that? Because they said, if you write stuff down, once writing comes in, people will stop listening. They'll be so, and we know this from school. I had the teacher talking, and after he went, what did she say? Something, I've got some strange notes, I don't know what she said at all. Instead, if you had put that book down and actually given her or him your full attention, you would have retained a lot more. You would have known to ask questions when you don't understand. Hello, ma'am, I didn't understand. Excuse me, say that again. But when you're writing down, say it again, what's the spelling, ma'am, tell me, that's all. Okay, and that's how we lose our faculty of listening. And that's a very important thing. And now what have we done? We outsourced whole brain to the phone. Can't remember anybody's phone number, can't remember birthdays until Facebook reminds me, I have no idea, oh, it's a birthday today. Okay, this is what has happened. As they predicted, the human brain is much less of its capacity is being used as writing and texting and all this has come in. Anything we want to know. Who acted in that film? We are not willing to give our brain 1 minute to recall it. Well, I'll just Google it. I'll just Google it because you have to show that you're very, that you know stuff. But more importantly, they said the problem is people will read stuff and they will think they know stuff. And actually, true knowledge is when a teacher and a student sit together and have a discussion about it. That's when you totally internalize, okay, that, and oh, I see that. And then you go away and think about it some more. Not like, okay, I learned this by heart, so I know that I know a lot. I've done a PhD, I know such a lot. But actually, have you understood it? There's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom comes from sitting and going over it again and again and again, speaking to other people, brainstorming, sounding board. That is what is required. So our Maharishi P, the cool Maharishi P, decided, aha, I know how to deal with this. I'll make them so short that even people with very little memory power will be able to learn them by heart. That's one. And I will make them so cryptic that no one will be able to figure it out by themselves until they sit with a teacher, until they think about it deeply, until they reflect upon it. Is that brilliance? Yes? So the Maharishi Patanjali's thing may fit on 2 sides of an A4 size sheet. If you see the commentaries on these sutras, this fat tomes, because, okay, what did he mean? What did he mean? And who is the greatest commentator? The one commentary that everybody is following till this date. There have been others with slight variations, but the main, again by Vyasa. So it can't, unlikely to have been the same Vyasa. Okay, and the same thing happens with Patanjali himself. Very, very mysterious figure, very shadowy. We don't know anything about him at all, actually. But in the 11th century, way after the Yoga Sutras were composed, a king of Bhopal called Raja Bhoja, you know of him? Yeah, Raja Bhoja. He was also a sort of a saint king, and he wrote a work, and in that he wrote a commentary on the Yoga Sutras, and in that he included a little prayer to Patanjali at the beginning. That is our source for knowing anything about Patanjali at all. And what did he put in that prayer? He said, anybody who's done yoga classes will probably be reciting this prayer at the beginning. Anyone has any guesses what it is? It starts Yogena Chittasya. No? Not heard of it. You have heard of it? Sing it. Padena? Forgot. Okay, but at least you know of it. So what does it mean? Yogena Chittasya. Through yoga, the mind. Padena Vacham. Through grammar, the tongue. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham. Malam Sharirasya. Through Vaidyakena. So through medicine, he who took out the impurities, means he who took out the impurities of the mind through yoga, he who took out the impurities of the language through grammar, and he who took out the impurities of the body through medicine, that Patanjali we bow to. Okay? So we're like, okay, so which Patanjali? So there is one grammar written by a Patanjali. There is a book on medicine written by a Patanjali, and then there is this, but we don't know if it was the same Patanjali because they've been written quite a few hundred years apart. So Patanjali is also a mysterious figure. Anyway, now we have these 196 sutras, and they're all about controlling your mind. So how does it start? How does it start? Very, very short. I just want to read out the first few to you, first four. Which defines yoga? Because the question is, if you're talking about the Yoga Sutra, what is yoga anyway? And there are so many different definitions of yoga. But here is Patanjali's, okay? It says, so it's a conversation happening between perhaps the reader, the child, the young person, and Patanjali. And so you're saying, hi there, Maharishi P. Now, what's it going to be? Why are you here? What are we learning today? And he says, Atha Yoganushasanam. Means, now, we are going to have the lowdown on yoga. Okay? Atha Yoganushasanam. Now for the lowdown on yoga. So the students are like, okay, we're all set. But what exactly is yoga? And he says, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. You're like, excuse me, what? So he says, yoga is, chitta is what? The mind. Vritti is the churnings and movements of the mind. Nirodha is stoppage, stilling. So yoga is the stilling of the churnings of the mind. Okay, so you say, really? That's it? And why is that important anyway? What does it achieve? So he says, Tada drashtu swarupe vasthanam, means then you see yourself as you truly are. And you say, what do I see myself as otherwise? I see myself as I truly am only when I look in the mirror. And then he says, Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Otherwise, you see yourself as the churnings of your mind. Okay? So it's a bit confusing. So he takes another 195 sutras to explain all of this. And you think, what does it mean? So imagine this. You've all seen these screensavers and calendar pictures where there's a beautiful still lake in the Alps or the Himalayas, absolutely still. Have you all seen those kind of pictures? What do you see in that lake? Reflection of everything around it. If it's absolutely still, every leaf, every cloud is reflected in it so accurately that if you actually turned it upside down, you won't be able to know which one is the reflection and which one is reality, that accurately. So he says, Patanjali is basically saying, make your mind like that, as still. Okay, what about a rushing river? Does it reflect anything? A waterfall, does it reflect anything? A muddy, churning river, does it reflect anything? No. Now into the still mountain lake, if you cast a pebble, what happens? Completely the reflection gets distorted. Distorted. Just one pebble can what's the Ripples will completely spoil the reflection. Okay, you can't see the reflection so accurately anymore. And that's what we do when we put all these thoughts in our head and keep our minds churning. We never get to see who we really are. And once the mind is really still, if you can make your mind really still, you see yourself as you really are. And what are you? What are you? Are you this limited, fearful little human being who has very limited faculties and can't do anything, can't achieve anything, insignificant, irrelevant, blown this way and that by the tides of whatever is happening around you? No, then what are you? Human being, yes. Simple human being. How much can you achieve in your life? How powerful are you as a child? You can say what again? You can just learn and read and that's all. All right? No. Each of us is hugely powerful, limitless, completely relevant, completely insignificant, completely significant. We can achieve anything we put our minds to if we are able to still our mind and see ourselves as we truly are. Otherwise, you're just rushing from event to event, not knowing what you are, full distorted reflection of yourself, thinking, I am only this much, you're listening to what everybody tells you about you, listening to the stupid stories you tell yourself about you, oh, I am just useless, I can't do anything, I can't, okay? Yeah. So that's what you become when you don't focus, when you don't see yourself as you really are. Okay. So then Maharishi P goes on to tell us, so we say, okay, Maharishi, how to stop these thoughts in my head, yeah? They just keep coming and coming and coming. So he says, think of thoughts as waves. In your Chitta lake, which is really calm and very beautiful, waves rise. These are thoughts. They keep rising and rising. So what can you do? What is the nature of a wave? It rises and then it falls. It rises, falls. Every wave you've ever seen on the seashore, does it just stay there forever like that? So why should you take that wave seriously? It comes and goes. However, if you say, oh my God, that wave has come, I'm going to ride it, I'm going to catch it, I'm going to pummel it down, and you get onto the wave, what will happen? Drown. You'll get drowned in the ocean of samsara. You'll never come out. You'll never be able to see. You'll be just flailing, struggling, and say, oh, my life is over. Finished. Over proud of yourself. No, not only over proud and all you leave. Don't even react to the waves that are rising in your mind. Most of the waves are quite pointless, especially things like anger. Oh God, how could you do that to me? Then that anger wave rises, you climb on it, and before you know it, you've gone off somewhere. Think of a railway station, okay? You have a ticket. You have planned today, I'm going to achieve all this, I'm going to study so much, etc. Now, if you're like that, you have a ticket for the day. But you're standing in a railway station with a ticket, you want to go to Bombay, let's say. The Chennai train comes in, do you climb it? Train to Jaipur comes in, do you get into it? Because you say, what, that's nonsense, that's foolish. I'm a sensible person, rational person, I'll wait for my train to come. But how do we not do this with thoughts? Any thought rushes in from anywhere, climb on that, go off somewhere. At the end of the day, my God, I didn't get anything done. How did I get here? Because first of all, you got onto the wrong train. So the act is, the effort is sit down, hold tight, watch this thing come, the train. That's not my train, keep sitting. And the thing is, it seems to call out to you with its siren song, the train, come in, I'll take you to exciting places, just come and climb on. This is the train you want. But if you resist, that train will leave at the time it's supposed to leave. It won't stay there forever calling you. You just have to resist for those 2.5 minutes of its stop. And you will be fine. And then when your train comes, get on it, finish what you're supposed to do. Okay, so one good exercise to do every day, 5 minutes, morning or evening. Sit down and watch the thought trains come and go. This meditation, no, people tell you, just sit and finish, don't allow any thoughts. Impossible for human beings. Thoughts will come. The point is not to get attached to the thought. Watch it come, watch it go. Watch, it will tell you a lot about yourself. What are the thoughts that populate my mind? It'll tell you a lot. So just let them come, let them go. That's already a great achievement. Then, here's what Patanjali tells you, the next exercise. I think that's all we have time for, but this is a wonderful exercise. He says, there are only 5 kinds of thoughts, boys and girls. There are only 5. And you say, what nonsense, Marishipi? Thousands of kinds of thoughts come into my head in 1 second. What are you saying? Only 5 kinds of thoughts. He said, okay, let me classify them for you, then you decide. Okay, fine. Okay, what are the 5 kinds? He says, one is right knowledge, which is correct information which you need to survive in a body. Yeah, right knowledge. That is called pramana. I'm just throwing these words at you, don't have to remember. Just nice to hear it in the Sanskrit, that's all. Okay, pramana. Then, second, if there is one kind of thought which is right knowledge, what should be another kind of thought? Wrong knowledge. That is called viparyaya. Okay. Then another kind of thought that comes is called, what is the capacity that only human beings have? Wonderful capacity. That, imagination. Imagination. Okay, is imagination a good thing or a bad thing? Usually good. But imagine what happened during COVID, your imagination. Now we'll all die, this will happen, we'll never recover, oh God, that will happen, this will happen. Imagination is also delusion. What does imagination mean? Thinking and believing in things or creating things that are not true, nightmares. Yeah, imagination is all of that. So third kind of thought is vikalpa, imagination, kalpana. Fourth kind of thought is smriti. Smriti is what? Memory. Okay, and fifth kind of thought, nidra, absence of thought. Okay, there are only 5 kinds of thoughts, he says. So what is vikalpa, imagination? Is it about the future or the past? Future. You worry about things that haven't even happened. They may never happen, but you've lost your peace of mind. You have made your chitta lake into one roiling, muddy mess because you think it may happen. Is there any point in that? You've lost it. Pointless, gone. What about smriti? Is it in the past or in the future? Memory. Past. It's over. It's gone. What's the point regretting it, worrying about it? Oh God, that shouldn't have happened. Oh God, that was so nice. It'll never come back. Leave it. Not useful. So make these 5 thought buckets in your head. Watch the vrittis come and go. Right information bucket. Wrong information, chuck it in the wrong information. Vikalpa, imagination, worrying about the future. What good does it do to me? Put it in the third thought bucket. Fourth one, smriti. What is the point worrying about the past? It's over, put it there. Nidra. Then press empty trash on 4 of them. Let those thoughts go. Then your thoughts haven't ceased entirely, but at least only the right information. Now you have to sift through that and say, how do I know this is right information? How? 3 tests are there. One is pratyaksha. Did I actually see it with my own eyes? Did I see it happen? Like I was actually there. I know this from personal experience, so of course I believe it. Pratyaksha. Next is anumana, deduction. I always know that wherever there is smoke, there's usually fire, usually. So now if I see smoke, I can sort of think that's true knowledge that there is a fire. Third, agama. Agama means what the scriptures have told you, books have told you, professors have told you. In the sense, there are always people we trust as experts. Pick your experts with care. And when somebody you trust says something, you should possibly believe it. It's most probably right knowledge. And it may protect you. So once you have done all this from the right knowledge bucket, also throw out anything that is not pratyaksha, anumana, agama. You're left with very few thoughts, and those are useful thoughts. Okay? So I'll just read out one thing from my book, which will help you. I want you to classify it into what kind of knowledge. Okay? So let's see. Why don't we put Maharishi P's hypothesis to the test? Let's take a typical situation at home. The usual morning rush to get to school on time. What might be the thoughts going through your head? Let's put them down, see if they fit into any one of Patanjali's 5 categories. Okay, the first thought. Oh my God, the power is gone. Is it right knowledge, wrong knowledge? Is it imagination? Is it memory? The power is gone. Right knowledge. Now I can't iron my uniform. Right knowledge. I'm going to be punished and PT ma'am is going to make me run around the field 20 times. Imagination. What's the point worrying about that now? Then, she hates me anyway, so she'll be too happy for the opportunity to punish me. Complete wrong knowledge, imagination, okay? May not be true, you think so, okay? Then, why did I not iron my uniform last night as mom told me to? Memory, any point? You didn't. It's over. Now please see what you can do now. Right? Next. Why do I never do things that I know are good for me? Right knowledge. Why do I never do the things that I know are right for me? Next, I'm a completely useless person. Wrong knowledge. How did it escalate from that to that? But those are the kinds of leaps our minds make and leave us feeling. If you didn't iron your uniform last night, how does it make you a completely useless person? What's a better thought to say that time? From next time, I won't do this. Even that is not useful at that point, but it's a better thought. Then, I'm such a disappointment to my parents. No wonder they love my brother more. Imagination, wrong knowledge. Then you are only telling yourself, oh, do be quiet and hurry up and get ready. Akanksha will be here any minute to pick you up. I bet her uniform is beautifully ironed and she doesn't have a hair out of place. Imagination, imagination. But that's because she has a nanny and a cook and a driver and whatnot. Everything is always done for her. Right information. Maybe she does have a nanny and a cook and everything is done. But wait, we probably know. Suppose you've been to her house, you know that people are there to do stuff. Next, but see where that goes to. That's why she does so well at everything in school. If she has a nanny and a cook, how does she do well in school? But this is what we think. Why does she do well in school? Because she works hard. But we attach something and let our minds turn into some snake pits of poisonous thoughts, completely unnecessary. Then, I wish my parents were richer and we had a staff of 25 as well. Imagination, not going to happen. Okay. Then, it used to be so nice last year when Dad used to iron our uniforms. Memory. Yes, it used to be nice, but how is it helping you now? Then, now he says I'm old enough to do it myself and will not do it for me even if I beg. Right knowledge. Right knowledge. Next, he'll be asking me to get a job and support myself before I pass out of 12th grade. Complete imagination. Oh my God, Akanksha is here on the dot and I'm not ready yet. She's going to be mad. Thank you very much. So this is only one of Patanjali's pieces of advice on how to calm your mind. He also goes on to say, tell the truth, be non-violent, all these 10 commandment type things which don't exist in any of our other, old texts. Because Vedas, Upanishads are all do what you like, see the circumstance, in that circumstance, think of what is your dharma and do it. It was all very nice. But here they say, do not steal, do not lie, do not do violence. But for what? Not because it's a good thing and will get you brownie points. No. It's to make your mind calm. If you lie, how many lies you have to tell? How many things you have to remember? Mark Twain says beautifully. Tell the truth because then you never have to remember it. You don't have to remember what you said if you told the truth, because it's the truth. If you tell lies, how much mind space gets taken for that, and you can't keep calm. Anyway, thank you. Bye.